So today I want to quickly talk about a phenomenon that you'll probably have noticed in almost every gacha game that has some kind of prominence, which is the phenomenon of meta chasing and people who only really pull for a character once they, really know that a character is viable in the meta and skip anyone who isn't S tier or something. Like every single update of a game like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Endless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves, or even Arknights, people quickly go to talk about things like what team composition is the best for them, what relics or things like it to get. Just generally looking at how powerful a character is, numbers wise. I personally don't really care about any of that. I love playing characters that aren't meta, that I just love either design or story-wise. It doesn't really matter if they're, super strong and do big numbers. I also just think that the meta doesn't really matter in games like this. Especially games like Genshin Impact can be a breeze no matter what team you bring, unless you really want to max out every combat event, which is more often than not just frustrating for me. Maybe I just suck. But there are certainly characters that are anything but meta, but that I just still enjoy playing in each of these games. Characters like Dia in Genshin Impact. She has undoubtedly one of the worst kits ever developed, and even from her release everybody just knew that she wasn't going to be viable. But for me, there was a challenge because I absolutely love her as a character. So I spent, a good while figuring out how to build her and what team to use for her. And I don't know, I think I made it work. Because I love using her as my main DPS now in a certain team. Even though she doesn't do, huge 1 million plus numbers against every boss. It's just a really fun kit to play around with. And this also works for other characters like Nekomata in Zenless Zone Zero. Like, I have so many way better DPSs like Miyabi that I can just use to clear through every stage or every grind fest that I need to go through. But there's just something really fun about her fast kit, even though she is, not the strongest and really needs a good team to work with. Even in what I would consider the hardest game Hoyo has released, Honkai Star Rail, because honestly I really suck at the combat. It really could just be me, but I really need to rely on a good team comp. Even there, I enjoy using Seele, who is probably the worst character, at least from the high ranks at the moment, because she was the first, and I kinda miss the good old memes from back in the day where it would just be her turn all the time. There are way better characters in every one of these games now, but there's just something really fun about, using a character that is branded as not good, not meta, and, should be avoided at all times. It's just a really fun way to engage with the game mechanics. Because you stop thinking about the big numbers and really think about how to engage with the game. Think about fun elemental combos in Genshin Impact. If you have a character that is just really good at doing one type of damage, you kind of forget the entire elemental system in the game. Or if you only rely on, let's say, one type of reaction. Like, I have heard that Cryo is probably the worst element at the moment. But I still enjoy using Ganyu every time I can, because she's just my favorite character. This is also the case for Dia. Because if you rely too much on these meta characters, it's kinda hard to think about the deeper layers of the game. Also in Zenless, if I have a character like Miyabi who can just clear out an entire horde of enemies in one fell swoop, I kind of forget what dodging and parrying is like. So if I bring a less powerful character like Nekomata, I remember how fun the parrying is. Using non-meta characters also just really reminds me of the early game in each of these gacha games. Back when you had some mid characters with bad weapons and bad stats, and you spent all time just trying to figure out how to make it work. Using non-meta characters really brings you back to that period of the game. I'm just going to keep using Dia as an example, because she doesn't do major damage compared to other characters. You really start to get back into that ebb and flow and the dance of combat, which is just really fun. Of course, it does slow down grinding a bit, but I really don't mind, because using non-meta characters really almost forces you to experiment again. But yeah, this is my very random and unscripted yap session about why I love non-meta characters. What about you? Do you like using non-meta characters in your teams in these kind of games? Or do you prefer to just stick to who's the strongest and only pull for those? Please let me know. Okay, bye.